One of the best practices that we can recommend to make this process easier for you as CTE teachers is to discuss accommodations and modifications with one of your colleagues. Here is an example.
So Jonette, I was telling you about how I have a whole lot of hyperactive students or students that have a problem keeping their mind focused, and I wanted to see if, I've come up with a couple of goals, and I wanted to see if you might help me then fill out the accommodations that I need to make for those and the modifications, because this is kind of new to me, the writing the goals and doing that. But the goal part of it, I've got an idea, but would you just go over it with me and see then if we can come up with the accommodations and the modifications?
Sure.
Well, a lot of times I have a step-by-step instruction for the students, and it might have, you know, like 10 or 15 steps with it. But for the students that have trouble focusing, I'm thinking that, you know, maybe I need to have it in smaller pieces. So the goal that I came up with is to follow a step-by-step instruction up to maybe 5 steps with maybe limited assistance. Does that sound like a reasonable goal? So in answer to your question about what kind of 5 steps I'm talking about like on a computer they would like open a document and then they would maybe put a colored square on there and then a circles on there and these kind of steps. And so I'm a little unclear on my goals about the difference between an accommodation and a modification. So can you help me a little bit with that? I mean, how would I accommodate a student like that versus modify that, the 5 steps?
Well, you had mentioned having the 5 goals that you'd want the student to do within a 10-minute time frame.
Right.
We want that, and that would be considered accommodating.
Okay.
If you decide to stop them at the second task
okay.
as part of the 5 goals, then that would be your modification.
Okay. So an accommodation would be if I gave them more time or maybe just spend a little more time with them, and a modification would be where instead of having them do all 5 steps, I would only have them do 2. So I'd be shortening that task actually.
Correct.
Oh, okay, that helps a whole lot.
Okay, Dina, so for the goals I came up with for Mark, I have that he's going to mastery his applications at least 75%.
Okay.
And I also have for clipper cutting that he'll have no assistance by the end of the school year. And he'll have to be able to interact with peers and customers using technical languages at least 80% of the time.
And they do have guidelines again.
Yes, they do.
Cosmetology, yes.
They do. And then also Mark is going to have to make sure that his workstation and his work area is clean, which is prescribed by the TDLR, which is our Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, at least 90% of the time.
Okay. With something like the clipper cutting, is that something that if he had an interest in that you might be able to do that over and over until he's very comfortable doing that? So in that form, you might be doing an accommodation for him to just let him practice it and get comfortable doing that. Would that work for an accommodation for you?
I think so. I think that would work.
Okay.
I think so.